All right, everybody. We're waiting on Bobby here, and then we will get started. Some usual funny business. Maybe nothing that's spectacular. Yeah, I think we're good. See anybody come on? Oh, there they are. Sorry. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the shit show, otherwise known as the NBA. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Let's wait for Bobby to slip in here. Then we'll hopefully get some more. Hopefully not. Hopefully we're good with all of our news, but I really doubt that's going to be the case. Bobby. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man.
So the usual shit show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just going through my stuff right now and trying to update. Doug McDermott just got ruled out. It's annoying when the chalk is going to be in the first game and it makes some sense, you know what I mean? And we want some chalk, you know, we want to spend up for some guys tonight, obviously. So I think that it's pretty in the first game. Sorry, let me I think that it's pretty clear that the best play is Westbrook. But there's, you know, at the ownership he'll be versus it should really lower the Luka and Giannis ownership. I don't think it's going to take Harden off the board. I think people are going to play both of those guys a lot. But I think that's an interesting way to go is if you want to go with a different type of build or even get a little mini stack in that Clippers game with either Kawhi or Paul George with Giannis. That's sort of the spend ups that I'm looking at right now. I did a quick run through of just like the guys who I'm prioritizing, and obviously some are chalky, some aren't. Westbrook, Harden. I think it's hard with Robinson just at 3K not to play him some, especially with the forward eligibility. A guy I didn't mention earlier, a couple guys who I didn't talk about a bunch, but Kemba and Ja Morant, I'm much more on now than I was. Rui, Hartenstein, and those are the main, the guys who you're trying to get in most of your lineups, I feel like, as of right now. I also think there's some value to, you can still play some guys in the first game, but delay. We have a lot of question marks. If Christian Wood's out, do we then go ahead and play Kelly Olynyk? Like I have Marcus Morris and Jaden McDaniels in certain lineups that I can just switch over to Kelly Olynyk, assuming that he plays if he starts. If there's no Christian Wood, if we get Larry Nance out officially, it's going to make Hartenstein even harder to fade probably. And it would probably affect some other things there. Maybe Dotson would get more run and show up as another cheapo. So that's just my quick little break. How are you looking at this?
Yeah, I mean, I feel as though the top spend went from Harden clearing away. To me, it's actually very close between him and Westbrook now. And like you said, with all this value, as if it's fishy or not, I mean, it just makes it so easy to get both those guys in.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to do this, but I mean, on FanDuel, you could put 3 studs in without breaking the sweat.
Right.
So I have to double check and see where I'm going to go, but we still, although. Do we have confirmation that Julius Randle's playing?
No, we don't. That's another one.
I don't have that.
No, we don't. So that would be yet another one that we don't have.
And I'd also like to. It would be very nice to see the starting lineups of that Broderick Perkins guy or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I think he sort of faded out. I think that was. I really think that was a projection. And he has to be starting. If he's starting, then it's different. But he's definitely a little bit lower on the list for me now than he was earlier in the day.
But if in fact he is starting, he rockets right back up there for me. So
yeah, that's fair. But also same thing with we have to see what happens. Saban Lee is feeling a little bit more. I don't want to say fishy, but maybe a little fishy.
Why do you think that?
We need him to know that he's starting, and Detroit's been playing a pretty deep rotation, even with the injuries. I mean, or even with the guys out. So that's the only thing that worries me a little bit about him.
And what about the guys who looks to be the safer? Well, in addition to Jerome Robinson, you have Denny at 3,400.
Yeah, that's the other value play from that game, as far as I'm concerned. I do think that you can give a slight uptick to the Indy guys with McDermott out, but I don't think it's a huge game changer or anything. I mean, if this game was later, if he was minimum or near there, I would be saying that Alex Len is a terrific tournament play because they need to play with some size against this Pacers team. But I just don't think I can get to it, especially with it being the first game and having so much interest in some of the other spots. They also just got Daniel Gafford, who could play minutes, and Robin Lopez, who's going to play minutes. So
I think it's even more than that. I think we can consider Raul Neto. I think you could consider Garrison Matthews. I think they're, you know what I mean? Like I don't think.
I agree about those guys. It's interesting, the Garrison Matthews thing. He's not even starting, and he starts usually when Beal starts even. But Nato, we know, will play the minutes off the bench. He'll probably play more than Matthews does. But Matthews is a heat check guy who can always get hot, but he doesn't really ever do it. Nato is going to contribute in a number of ways. You really need the 3-point shooting to go down from Matthews, and you need him to be shooting, which just neither of those happen very often.
That's
so
true.
I don't consider Matthews as much of a play as I would Nato.
Yeah, and did you do any more research on this just Josh Hall guy?
No, I don't feel any reason to right now. Okay. There's nothing really to research. You know what I mean? I think it's just. Let's see where he's at right now. 20. I mean, how many? Do you have him for more than 20 minutes? And there's a bunch of guys in OKC, and they really don't need him. And there's other value in OKC, like guys who I would be trying to stay away from now more would be like Svi. I would try to stay away a little bit more from. Yeah, I guess it would be just Svi from over there. I still am going to take some Poku shots, but not with probably my big lineups. Sorry, there's new notifications. Lonzo Ball is not expected to play, so that's going to open up some more. Alexander Walker makes some sense. Is he going to be a better play than Maladon at that price? I don't know. They both Maladon's flashed a little more upside lately, but we know that Alexander Walker has some. And as much as it sucks to play Bledsoe, like he's so cheap. It's like on FanDuel he's 4.1. Let me see something real quick. What is he on DraftKings right now? For some reason, 4.8. Yeah, I mean he's definitely in play as well. A lot of plays, it's a big slate. I'm trying to keep it simple, but it's rough to do.
Well, the good news is the bad news. Like the good news is that there are some good plays in the first two games, right?
Yes, there is. Well, it's really just the first game that's it's the Island game.
What time does the Brooklyn game start?
7:30.
Okay.
But I literally think that extra half hour probably is going to end up mattering a little bit. Although we just found out about the Lonzo thing, so that's one at least we can check off. Also at 7:30 is the Knicks, so I should know by then whether Randall's going to play. Yeah, so it's there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. I'm still trying to catch up on some of these projections. Do you want to go by favorite players by FanDuel and maybe start off that way this time, just because I think it might help get things a little centered?
Yeah, and it's funny. We just did a baseball thing, guys, and one of the things that we talked about in the baseball thing was how sometimes the way pitchers work on FanDuel, you don't have to go cheap there. And it's a similar thing that I kind of think with the NBA. You know, the one real difference between DraftKings and FanDuel. I mean, FanDuel, you get all these guys that are 3,700 that are going to project for good point per dollar situations that you just sometimes don't need to play. I just wonder if today is going to be something similar. I just have to see where the builds go.
Right.
So like, I mean, we can go position by position, but like as an example, I mean, you see all these guys that are like the Saban Lees and the Jaden McDaniels and Justin Holiday and even Patty Mills, like all these guys that are Dorian Finney-Smith, all these guys that are good point per dollar plays that you just know you're not going to play, but maybe you are going to play them.
Right. I actually don't mind the McDaniels thing, especially on FanDuel where he's 3.7.
Well, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah. What's interesting is that I find myself with more interest. I actually have more Indy players on FanDuel than I do Washington players. Because I really like Brogdon tonight. I don't know how much I'm going to get to him on DraftKings, but on FanDuel I do like him quite a bit. And I love Sabonis at 8,800. I think he smashes this front line. Justin Holiday is near minimum in a perfect situation if there ever was one for Justin Holiday, and because you're getting some exposure to the game, certainly fits in fine and doesn't really take away from everybody else. And even a guy like LeVert as a long shot flyer is certainly reasonable. So certainly a lot of stuff going on there.
So you think that Larry Nance was a late addition to the injury report?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's a bad. I mean, especially with them not having to play for anything, it does feel sort of like a bad idea to try to go crazy with it. We also don't know about Lowry yet, which is kind of important because I think the best shooting guard option on FanDuel would you could argue like Harden versus. It's a tough one. Harden versus Levine, but I'm sorry, Van Vliet versus Levine. But I actually think Van Vliet is the better, safer play, all things considered.
I was just thinking about that. Van Vliet versus Levine, actually.
Yeah, they're the same price basically, and I think that they're both really, really good plays. But I really think that while we love the ceiling of Levine and we love all those things, like Van Vliet is probably going to get 40 to 60 here. Like he really probably.
Well, I think I solved the issue in at least one of my lineups.
Okay, what'd you do?
And I played both of them.
That's exactly what I'm doing in some of mine. I'm trying to find who I would want to pair with Harden if I'm playing Harden and Westbrook together in the other one, and.
Yeah, well, I'm able to do a lot. I mean, like I have some Westbrook Hardens with like real players.
Right. Yeah. It's easy to do.
Yeah. If you consider, Demi Avdija a real player. Miles Turner, I have some of them on FanDuel also.
Right. Yeah, I love Miles Turner as a tournament play. I think he's like the phenomenal option off the other guys at low ownership. I keep saying this for everybody on Indy, but it really is like the perfect matchup for each of them. Like it's pretty nuts actually. And on FanDuel, they're all reasonable, but there's not it's not the same where the guys on Washington are not. You don't really need to go down there as far to get them, in my opinion. So it's kind of an interesting, what do we do with this situation? But I love Turner as a pivot off the other guys.
I have a question. Who do you like more between Eric Bledsoe and Reggie Jackson?
Eric Bledsoe, Reggie Jackson. I think Reggie Jackson's safer to get 20-something-ish, but I think Bledsoe probably has a bit more ceiling, which feels funny to say out loud, but Reggie Jackson could turn into Terrence Mann pretty easily, and Paul George sort of runs the point in that situation. You know what I mean? He had 9 assists in the last game. Tough one. Yeah. What's odd is I did a little build on FanDuel before, and it kept giving me Neto before all of this stuff happened. And I think that's reasonable. I think Neto is very reasonable today, actually. But I also think the projections of his minutes are probably a little lower than they should be from what I'm looking at. I think they should be more in the 26 to 28 range. And then we'll take a look at his game log. He's been just shy of 20, but this, obviously it's with Beal, and occasionally in the mid 20s with Beal, depending on how it's rolling with them. He doesn't give you like a great feeling, but he's cheap also, and he's going to put up some fantasy points. He's always in the teens to 20s with these guys all healthy. And with Beal out, you can only assume that would obviously help. Christian Wood just got ruled out. So that's going to change things. We got to get a starting lineup from Houston. But so we could talk about positions, or we could also just talk about this first game, who else we're playing. And
well, let me first get Christian Wood out of my FanDuel lineup here.
Let me make sure he's not in any of mine. Guys, what's up? Sorry to not see you guys. You guys dropping any questions for what you got? Yeah, I do like Rui quite a bit, Cos Campbell, especially if I'm going to try and partially stack that game, which is completely viable. You can run it back with any of the guys from Indy. You're going to get a really low-owned Sabonis, which might be an interesting way to go on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, I love Sabonis. But Brogdon would be the preferred guy. The problem is the point guard is pretty loaded. If I could use Brogdon as shooting guard, I could have used him so much more on FanDuel, on DraftKings. But I do really like both of those. Sorry, I do like everything in that game. Basically, the problem is it's the first game.
The other thing is that with Wood out, remember what I said earlier, is that the opposing center becomes like a really, really good play. Valanciunas, except again, the problem with that is that it becomes more, the blowout risk increases.
Right. I totally agree. I definitely have a slightly less interest in Ja than I did before, but it is still like the perfect matchup for Ja. So I'm a little bit interested. And I really want to know who they're starting, because if Kelly Olynyk is starting, that is something I probably want to get involved in. And I think you can run him back. Actually, I actually like that quite a bit, because I've got a lineup right now that has Ja in it, and I have Jaden McDaniel, so I'm going to switch it to Olynyk and just hope that he does play. Hope that he does start. It is hard, though. Again, these are teams that don't want to win. Or Houston's a team that doesn't want to win. So we just got to remember that. We got to embrace a little bit of this variance. Olynyk switching with Giannis. And I would probably try to use one of the values from Washington, not more than that. And then if I was going to play three of them, for example, I would probably play Hachimura and Westbrook with another one of the cheap ones. And I probably wouldn't play too many lineups with Robinson and Avdija together. They're so cheap, it's okay. But we know there's other value. We know things are going to open up. So that's just sort of where I am with that.
I have a dumb question. Do you think that that Fournier plays at all and gets some real run over there?
No.
Okay.
I mean, just not enough to where I would consider him. But.
Okay.
And I'm running into this issue now. They've made Luka forward eligible, and I keep running into this Luka versus Giannis. But I prefer Luka, but Giannis, I want to stack that game up a little bit. So I'm a little bit running into that issue on DraftKings a little bit. Let me just put this out like this.
Who's good? We can play Jackson.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right, guys. Yeah, drop some questions in, because I'm going to have to edit some lineups. This is obviously a monster slate. So sooner we can get questions, is the better. Let's take this and make it.
Yeah, I had to get Christian Wood out, and I think I should be done with the Christian Wood. Now, with Christian Wood out, I mean, just as a pure, usage play, I mean, John Wall becomes really strong, no?
Sure.
Oh, not thrilled.
He would on another slate. Maybe I would do it. I mean, I'm not going to play him over these other guys for the most part. I don't think. I just where I am personally.
We're still waiting on confirmation of Randall, among other things, right?
Yeah, confirmation from Randall. Let me see. Christian Wood, I already got that.
Now, earlier, you were mentioning, it's so funny that you were afraid of playing a too chalky Nerlens Noel, and I didn't think he'd show up at all. He's going to be like 2% owned.
He's going to be way less owned, and I love it.
Yeah.
Personally. But But obviously, if Randall gets out, he might get some ownership. But I mean, I thought he was going to be a lot more owned earlier in the day. I'm still kind of confused at why. I mean, I think
you would think people would play him, right? I mean, the
Right.
typical thing with Mitch Robinson out, right? I mean,
right.
Hmm.
And I mean, he's played a lot of those minutes. These 4,800, he was 6K, 5,800. We were playing him in this situation, and it's because there's other good center options between Hartenstein as the cheapo and then the Moses Brown, Robert Williams thing. It's a little harder to get to.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
Do you like Curry at all?
Yes, and that's the thing that I was trying to figure out is how much do I want to go for that? It just feels weird on this slate, but I do like it. Like, he's too cheap, like by a lot. That's pretty much all your excuse for playing him. I mean, and when he's on, he can easily put up a score with these other guys,
Yeah.
So I love that idea. I'm not too worried in general about ownership, even if I have some chalkiness in mine, because I think that there's always going to be a place or two that I'm going to definitely be different. So I'm not terribly like worried about the ownership part of it, but a low owned Curry does feel particularly enticing just because he is the kind of guy who can win you a tournament, obviously. He could put up 70 fantasy points at 9,400 or whatever, 90K on FanDuel. So I do like that quite a bit. Let me just do this real quick. Daniels. Okay.
Still waiting on Randall. Still waiting on starters from Cleveland, among other things, right?
Right.
And we're still waiting on, as you would say, the stuff that we don't know what we're waiting on.
Yeah, and I mean, like Lowry, that's a big thing, and no one's talking about it.
Right. Well, that we know what we're waiting on.
Yeah. No, exactly. That one we do know.
I'm waiting to see, Chris Middleton get ruled out or something like that.
Yeah. So Olynyk is starting. QQ, Turner, and Sabonis in the same lineup on FanDuel or bad correlation. It's not ideal K9 Bronco, but it's not the worst thing in the world because that's such a premium environment. And I've actually run into a lineup or two with that. What I would say is that I have the rest of in that lineup, I do have Westbrook and I will have like Hachimura or something like that if I was going to do that personally. Sheets, what do you think?
Kelly, you Hachimura instead of who you were saying?
If I'm going to play, if they're going to play, no, they're going to play Turner and Sabonis together. If you're going to do that, I would probably want to run that. Like I do like Hachimura anyway, but that would be the lineup I would want to run Westbrook and Hachimura.
Yeah, that would be. I would really try to avoid that. In general, the Turner and Sabonis one.
Yeah, it's not usually ideal, but there is enough defensive upside that Turner could literally block his way to getting there. Especially against this team.
Yeah, on a big slate like this, since you asked, I mean, I would I'd probably stay away from that.
Yeah.
You know who could be a little hash kind of slate? I mean, maybe we talked about him a little bit, but you get a good matchup for him. I mean, his price looks a little big, but Karis LeVert at 7K, I don't think anybody's going to play.
I do like LeVert. He kept fitting that. Like I mentioned, I if I could play Brogdon as my shooting guard, and LeVert is at the exact same price at shooting guard. So I think that's kind of interesting. I just hate the idea of getting all of the early exposure, but it is a good game environment. It's obviously a huge total. It should be fairly close. Bledsoe's numbers are just popping through the roof. So I would say Bledsoe, this is just easy ones. Like if you were playing, I think Bledsoe might be a little bit better than Reggie Jackson. I mean, he's just it always feels kind of gross, but yeah, it's tough. But I think you can take guys like Saban Lee out of your mix. Right? I mean, on FanDuel.
Okay.
There's just between Bledsoe and Reggie Jackson, I think I prefer both of them to Saben Lee because he doesn't play. He hasn't. I don't know if he's played 30 minutes, has he, in a game? Like not just
Right.
I remember. So that's sort of what I was thinking. Ja, and then getting a little bit of John Wall, I guess, makes some sense in hopes that game stays close. And I guess that I'm making that sort of other argument with Ja there, but I think I might have to get less Ja ownership because of that situation. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to. Another guy who popped off earlier, who looked like a really good play, just because he's been shooting the ball more, who I had some of, was OG Anunoby. Sort of not really interested as much as I was before, but he's okay. He's okay if you end up with him. Toronto's been bad enough to where that game could easily stay close. Doesn't have to, but they definitely could stay close. All right, sorry, I'm just finishing up a couple lineups here, and then I'll be good to go.
Did you So Larry Markkinen is questionable. Kind of wanted to play him a little bit. Seems kind of dumb though.
I get it. I'll just give you one thing though. So I have on my season long team. This is what made me sort of come to the realization, which sometimes where season long helps. I had too many guys playing tonight, so I had Noel and Markkinen, and I picked Noel over Markkinen.
Okay.
Julius Randle and Reggie Bullock are available to play.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So there's that. All right.
Well, speaking of that, you like Randall at all?
How much is he?
Same overpriced as he always is. I mean,
no. Then you play Sabonis if you're going to play either of them.
You like Butler at all?
Yeah, I do like Jimmy Butler. If I had to rank the top spends, I have Westbrook, Harden, Luka, Giannis, Butler, Curry as my top guys.
I currently have Butler as in my big lineup on FanDuel.
I think that's fine. I really do, especially on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I like Saddiq Bey also on FanDuel as a totally different price range as a small forward option, though. And I'll definitely be getting some of that.
Oh, my God.
Can you play Hachimura? And I got to get more Hachimura in my life. All right, I'm going to answer some more questions because I promised I would. Plumlee or Brown on FanDuel at center? Brown. Any Draymond Green? I don't like it as much with Steph in, but I think he's still a good play at his price. I just think there's better plays.
So I was gonna bring this up as long as you did it already.
Yeah.
I've sort of been, I've been following the same podcast, and they're making the case as kind of the opposite for Draymond.
You could say that. That's fine.
That Draymond's actually he has, he's gonna be better with Steph in there.
That's fine. You could argue. I don't entirely agree with it, but it's fine.
Okay.
It's not. I don't totally disagree either. It's. I don't know. I don't have a strong take on that one.
Okay. It's pretty weird.
Let's see. Too much Brown. So Robert Williams, I want to get a little bit exposure to. I do prefer Brown over Williams is one other question. I like Williams. I'm sorry. I like Brown better. How about you, Sheets?
Brown or Williams?
Yeah.
It's a toss-up for me.
Yeah, I think that everybody's got it as a toss-up. I've got a little lean towards Maledon, Mikhailuk, Pokievsky, Roby, and Brown. Okay, so that does give Svi a tiny bit more of an excuse you can play him, but I'm not going to go for it. But is Maledon going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit?
Not for me.
Not for you. All right. I like to hear it.
So you're on to the Hartenstein.
Yeah, especially because we don't know about Larry Nance. Unfortunately, we probably won't know because that game's later. But yeah. By the way, I think if you're going to play the Steph thing on FanDuel, that's the spot where you want to try and get Levine in there. Probably, you know what I mean. Hope you can get a little shootout going between the two of them, which definitely is on the table. You know what I mean.
Jerome Robinson at 3K is a rough fade, I think.
I agree, but look at the reason why Hartenstein. Like, who are they going to match up with Gobert, especially if Nance is out? I'm waiting.
Right.
No. I don't think there's an answer. That's the thing. Maledon And I also still really like what I think is going to end up being a lower owned Porzingis on FanDuel. And I think Tatum's a good play and Kemba is too, but I'm just not finding myself ending up there very much. And maybe that's a mistake. But I do think that they're both good plays.
I had like a psycho lineup with Kristaps on it on DraftKings.
On DraftKings, I actually like that. I mean, it doesn't need to be the best thing ever. It's look at his last 2 games. Put up one more bad boys, and you're in great shape.
Yep.
Printing, as the children say these days. Boy, fading Westbrook starting to feel sillier, but I do think there's a bust pad. I think there's also blowout risk, but he still plays a lot. Like the thing about the blowout risk with Westbrook, it works both ways. Like, because if they get blown out, if they're starting to get blown out, that's when he's going to just take all the usage in the history of the world, So it gives him the opportunity for an even bigger game. But if they actually get blown out, then he might miss, a rotation. It just doesn't happen very often with them. And they've actually played well without Beal. I mean, we saw them almost beat Milwaukee the other day without Beal. All right, sorry, I'm trying to tell.
This Washington thing's really annoying me just a little bit.
Me too.
DraftKings.
Me too. Harden or Giannis on DK. For me, it's Harden. I'm sorry. Yeah, for me, it's Harden. But I like both of them. I like all 4 of those guys. I like Luka too. But I do like Harden better. I would just say I think that's the better play.
You like Kyrie at all?
No. The price is just you don't need to do that.
You don't, right?
No. He plays he plays great and he scores 58 and that's okay, well, you'll take it. But like you need everything to go his way. There's blowout risk in that game too. And I just prefer Harden personally. But I mean, yeah, he has to get like 65 or 70 probably to really hurt you. So I'm not quite as into it. Rain on me.
Really, all these freaking players I have. I mean, it's wow.
Play Abdia over here.
Maybe there's something to this Nerlens Noel business.
I'm playing him on one of my big lineups. And it's funny because it's a terrible matchup, but that actually might, like I mentioned earlier, that might work in his favor.
That would be interesting if I got that around.
I sort of like the idea of playing Luka and Giannis together because obviously that means on DraftKings you can't play the other guys.
Okay.
And it's just there is a definite path where they could outscore these guys, and you're just playing like even if they're both like 15% or something tonight by the end of it, them two being together is going to be just a non-existent build in my opinion. I just don't think people are going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Another piece of news. Lonzo's officially out. Jackson is in. Doesn't really mean now that much. Okay.
It's Broderick Thomas stuff. What is this Zach LaVine questionable?
Yeah. It's something else we have to deal with, but I don't know how real it is. I would imagine the Bulls do everything they can to try and get their guys playing right now. They just made the trade to go for it, kind of.
Okay.
Seems like the time to ride it out, I guess, You kind of like after you do that, you kind of have to do that. Okay. So Robinson would be in the lineup without Westbrook if you had to pick one lineup without Westbrook, I think.
Robinson would be in the lineup without Westbrook. Well, I would think that the lineup without Westbrook, you probably want Neto. Yeah.
Yeah, but Robinson is the same. Robinson is just a better version of Neto, in my opinion.
Okay.
In this particular situation. And Avdia should get minutes no matter what in that game. With all those guys out, like I really think he would. But also Robinson is small forward eligible, which does give him a boost for me. Avdia, Giannis.
So, and I'm also still waiting on Saban Lee starting or not. Christian Wood is out. So also with Christian Wood out, we could consider Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that.
Not too thrilling, huh?
I don't know. That's not my. Yeah, I don't think so. For me, I do really like Brogdon. I want to play these guys. You know, maybe that's the thing is we should be playing. Maybe we should be playing Turner on DraftKings. 2,
3, 4, 5. 5 guys.
Olynyk is. I mean, he's going to pop way off the board now. He's going to look like an awesome.
He is, right?
Yeah. Definitely comes with a little risk, that guy, though.
He does.
Yeah. Let's see if we've got Neto. The problem with Neto too is I can just play Reggie Jackson for 800 more too.
You know what? You know who I don't want to play?
Who's that?
I don't want to play Rudy Gay.
Yeah, don't. I support that not wanting to. I share in that with you. Okay. Sheets, give me 1 second. I'm just gotta grab something.
You know, okay. Draymond, Aiden. And what I'm doing now, guys, I'm just literally just parsing through my player pool on the other side, just seeing if there's anybody that I have that I just don't want any of. I think I'm okay here. Even someone, no, I don't need him. I was about to say Conley. Don't really need Conley in my player pool. I don't think I need Garrison Matthews in the player pool. If I were playing like a whole bunch of lineups, I might, but De'Aaron Fox at 9,500. I don't think I want to play him on DraftKings. I'll take him out.
Yeah. Harden or Giannis tonight? Harden, I already answered that one. I think we already got most of the questions, actually. Sorry.
Jordan McLaughlin is not going to make it. Rudy Gay is not going to make it. Jaden McDaniels could make it.
Yeah.
Nicholas Claxton could make it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to. What I'm doing is just basically just cutting down my DraftKings player pool. Derrick Rose is back active. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and he's actually not a bad play tonight. Just with the way that Tibbs does his minute and his price, he's actually a decent play too. But you can't play everybody, obviously.
Yeah, this is a little strange. Porzingis is good. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. I don't need that too much, but I'll just leave it in anyway. All right, we're closing. All right, we should be good with FanDuel. Any questions on there that are unresolved right now?
I think I answered all the ones I saw, but I'm just in the middle of editing at the moment. Hang on one second. Let's just try this again.
Still waiting on that starting news.
Well, okay.
Need one more run here. Rashad Holmes is okay. Again with this. You really want to give me 100 Washingtons.
Kobe White's questionable also, which would make – I mean, Satoransky's price is not the most desirable, but, like, he definitely would be in play.
All right, let's do this. That's good. I still like as just a crazy. Now he's getting like 0.5% owned this Terrence Mann business.
Yeah, I mean, we watch the games. We see that they definitely let him have a chance, you know. So I get it.
When does this Cleveland game start?
It's 6 p.m. I'm sorry, 9 p.m. Eastern.
I got you. Okay.
Show me.
250. I don't want that. I'm gonna go. Change this. Yeah, you know, I like the. It's like every play I come up with, I'm just like, wow, I'm really doing that on an 11-game slate.
Right, I hear you. I think that's how I feel a little bit too. I do have some liking for Draymond, though. I get it. You know, it just feels like a little bit thin, but there's also a lot of it buys you time too. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, George, sorry.
This is like reminds me of the slate that Sabonis completely broke when this last happened. You know what I mean? He just went nuts when he was like 2% owned at 9,600. I had a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah, and he didn't even finish it off.
I know it's sticking with me though in this matchup because it's just feels like he's in just such a good spot, even with his price being so high. He's got a ceiling, man. Brogdon's assist numbers are freaking me out a little bit. I think I'm going to skip the Brogdon thing. What if I did this?
Brogdon's?
Yeah.
Debbie
Jackson. DS bonus. Harden Jackson. Harden. I do think Reggie Jackson's going to be lower owned than people think he's going to be today. I just don't see everybody playing him. I just can't picture it.
Okay.
I'm telling you, who's not going to be owned at all? It's Marcus Morris, and I actually think that he's a good play tonight.
Who?
Marcus Morris.
I agree with that.
He fits my Morris Giannis lineup. I have very little Robert Williams on DraftKings, and it makes me a little nervous, but not that nervous because
There's 100 guys you can play now. It's
exactly.
Let me take a look at this now. DraftKings freezing up a little bit. Right, this is good. This is good. Oh, I could be a hero if this comes in.
Every time I say the word hero, I'm like, oh, is he talking about what did I miss on Tyler Hero today?
You know, it's funny because I keep coming up with Tyler Hero and I just don't play. Then I just X him out.
The sites like want us to play him, man. I'm having the same exact issue.
Giannis. Were we? Marcus Morris. Paul George.
I do have a tiny bit of cat, by the way. Just
Sure.
throwing it up.
Demi Robinson. Running back with some bonus, huh? What do you get? What's Sabonis? Please tell me Sabonis isn't exactly. Oh, he's 9,600. That's rough.
I did it anyway.
Oof.
I did it, and I played 3 from Washington. I think he can put up 60, and I have Harden in the same lineup. I mean, there's enough value where you can really do some things. So
Yeah.
okay. If there's any last second questions, I'm gonna do it quick.
Which 3 Washingtons do you have? You have Robinson and Demi and Westbrook?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I have one with Hachimura too, and not Abdia.
Yeah. That's exactly where I'm at. How much is just played right like that? Boom. Let's see here. Keep coming back to Keldon Johnson as being a good play.
Yeah,
Kelly Olynyk starting like a champion, huh?
I love it, but I'm nervous about it too. It could go south. It's not like he's not usually the number 2 option for you on a team. You know?
Right.
You sort of want other guys getting his shots.
All right, let's take a look and see if I can find any questions in here. And then I'm going to call this. Yeah, so everybody, I am out tomorrow. Bobby will take us home. By the way, there's like a couple besides tonight. There's like 2 other big, huge slates this week. I don't think tomorrow's one of them.
No, tomorrow's not, but then yeah, we have Wednesday, I think, and Friday.
Friday? Oh, crap. Okay. The Weekend 11 gamer. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Just kind of closing some stuff out here. Did this if the webcam couldn't give this away. I stayed actually late and did this in the office.
Oh, nice. Okay. One thing is Turner and Sabonis are better plays together in like single entry stuff. I should have mentioned that before.
So what do you mean? Just because you don't have to beat that many people?
The absolute ceiling of everything. Like Turner could have 40 and Sabonis could have 55 on FanDuel. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you don't need to get the absolute best out of both of them. And even if Turner gets 35 and Sabonis gets 50, it's still a great production, you know? Sabonis, okay, let me see.
And I'm pretty sure this weekend there's no NASCAR or MMA, I think. But there's golf. There's the Valero tournament, which I'm going to be ready for.
That's right.
What's this? That's Wednesday. And the thing is, this is and the March Madness is continuing, right? We're down to how many? Oh, UCLA made it, right?
Yeah, they almost
Nice.
lost the freaky game of all time, but they ended up pulling it out, which was really nice to see, actually.
You know,
Yeah, with good players right above him. I just think Porzingis is going to be a little bit lower owned on FanDuel, and I like him.
Oh, and guys, if you didn't, I don't know if you put it up yet, Bobby, or whether they're just going to put it on our site, but we did a kind of like a how to play MLB in general video.
Yeah.
I don't know what Bobby's doing with that, but we're looking forward to Wednesday's going to be a big day. Is Wednesday opening day or Thursday? Thursday, right?
Which is
Okay.
nice. We don't have as big of a.
Great, that's great.
Yeah.
So Wednesday we'll do. Randall is starting. Thank you, Timothy. Okay.
FanDuel.
Okay, thank you for that. Let me just go through these. Chris, Plumlee or Brown at FanDuel at center. I would say Brown, but I do have a Plumlee lineup or two on DraftKings,
Sure.
just for fun.
Yep.
Art Keating, best value play on DraftKings. This is from a while ago. It's hard to say because the Saban Lee has not been announced starting or not yet. If he's announced starting, he's going to be a good value play. And if that guy, Broderick Thomas from Cleveland, is announced starting again at 3,200, he's probably a good value play. The ones that are on the board right now, Demi, Avdia, and Jerome Robinson, look at least to me to be the two top quote-unquote value plays. If by value you mean, like 4K and under. Harden or Giannis on DK, I think make a case for either. Harden is a better play, but Giannis will be much lower owned, I think.
Yeah.
And good luck. Thank you. Yeah, sounds good to me. All right, guys. Good luck. And
Good luck, everybody.
what's that?
I said good luck, everybody.
Yep.